Ta-da. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're back. We're live. We are here for another episode of Always Almost There, day after show live. No, I did not check the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi kind of checks out where I am right now. So I apologize if it's a little bit laggy today, but we're here. I'm in Utah, getting ready for the show tomorrow. It's going to be fun. I'm very excited to be joined by my good friends, Kevin Johnson and Murph. Who are you guys? You guys already home from Iowa? You're on your way home from Iowa?
Yeah, we just flew in and ran home from the airport, picked up my daughter at school, and you texted us, last minute because your interns aren't doing their job apparently, and
Apparently.
And now we're here, and this is my home, and we had some technical difficulties, but we'll make it happen, man. Anything for Ryan Storm.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure, and I'm very excited to chat about the show last night. Their first time ever playing in the state of Iowa. But let's start, with the pre-show vibes for you guys. You guys looked like you guys did a very impressive surgical strike. Little airplane getting up to Iowa yesterday. But tell me about the venue, pre-show vibes.
Pre-show was awesome. We stayed in a hotel, like literally connected parking lot. When we got to the hotel, we got there a couple hours early. Saw Rick and Cotter outside doing some pump. They were working out, resistance bands and stuff, and just hung out, shot some pool in the hotel. Then we got to the show. It was by far one of the easiest walk-ins. Like we walked straight to the little lounge area, got food, got drinks, made it to our seats. The venue was I think it's 3,300 cap, but the way it's set up, it's honestly just a big box. So everything is just right there. It was really intimate feeling for the size of it. The staff, oh my God, the staff was amazing. They were so great, very, very welcoming, super nice. You could tell that they all loved their jobs, and they were pretty verbal about that as well, but it was awesome. Pre-show job, we just hung out, man. It was really good, really stress-free.
It was pretty cool because my business partner, our former business partner, we were involved in a couple things, actually built this venue and owns the venue. And his friend that runs the venue, we were hanging out with him pre-show, and they had some inside information on when the band was going to come out. So we knew exactly when it was going to start, and that was kind of cool.
Always good to know that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had kind of a suite on the Trevor's side rail front balcony, but then the owner left about 3 songs into the first set.
Yeah.
And so we went and took over mid row, not my friend owner, but the local owner that, goes to shows all the time. And so his whole row in the front balcony rail, a la Haps in Atlanta dancing, we had that area, and it was the best seats in the house. The acoustics were amazing. Bathroom report, I didn't wait a single time for a stall, which is sick. It's really well done. We gave a lot of feedback, little critical feedback here and there, picky stuff to the owners because they want it. I'm trying to get some feedback from the band to hear, what they thought of the stage and the green room and such, because this guy's building another one in Dallas and Gainesville, and so we'll get to test that out. So it's good to. I don't know many cool people that own things like this, but I know this guy, and it was a pretty nice VIP experience.
That's a good connection to have. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, let's dive into the show here. Without further ado, we'll start with the first couple of songs. Me and My Uncle, Turbulence. Let's start with you, KJ. What did you think of these first 2 tunes?
So, well, first of all, we thought Turbulence was kind of the call for the opener, and that's what JD Clayton, who was with us, called, which, by the way, you got to have that guy on the pod. He is just one of the funniest, most hilarious. I took some crazy videos you might have seen on Twitter last night of him just dancing and having a good time. But, Me and My Uncle was a bust out for me. I've never seen it. Matter of fact, I had 4 bust outs, never seen, in one show, which is absurd. Me and My Uncle, Lily's Tiger, Turn On Your Love Light, and Green River. And those were all first times for me. But, Me and My Uncle, it's one of those where I haven't listened too much. I kind of feel weird that I haven't. And I didn't even recognize it at first. Someone had to tell me what was going on, and then obviously to start singing it, and I knew. But it was awesome, and it's one of those where I want to listen to it now. Turbulence, though, is always a favorite. I mean, as soon as you hear it, right off the bat, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah. What about you, Murph?
Yeah. So those same 4 songs were also my first time hearing those same 4 songs. I've been wanting a Me and My Uncle. I come from a Dead background, so I'm a huge Dead fan, and been wanting one for a long time. I was kind of upset when they shelved it a couple of years ago, but it's good to see it coming back. Turbulence, I always love a good Turbulence. It's a good warm-up song for sure. And I mean, last night's was pretty straightforward, pretty basic Turbulence. In my opinion, at least, I didn't think they took it anywhere that they don't normally go with it, but I really liked it. Yeah.
I mean,
what about you, Ryan?
I thought this was. Thank you, Kev. I thought this was a great way to open the show. Me and My Uncle. For a second, I was like, "Who are they opening with? No California?" Because very similar guitar intro. But still waiting on that one to come back. Please, Goose, play No California again.
I had it on my
and yeah, Turbulence always crushes. But I know the one thing that we all want to talk about, and that what you guys want to talk about, the Lily's Tiger bust out. Because Peter started doing that, and I shrieked. Like my mom and I were sitting like on a patio, waiting to eat dinner, and luckily there was no one else on the patio. But we have we had the stream on, and Peter started playing that synth intro, and I was like, no, so never miss a Shiowa show. Shout out to Neil, who's not here to hear me say that. But Murph, take us through your reaction when Lily's Tiger started.
So I saw Peter get up and start tampering with the Moog, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, here we go. This is going to be something that I really want. Didn't think it was going to be Lily's Tiger, but that first little bump, 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 my jaw dropped. I turned to JD. I ran. I gave him a hug. I was like, dude, no way. This is not happening. This can't be happening. Yeah. And I lost it for a few minutes. Like KJ said, the guy that owns the venue, he ended up leaving at the beginning of Lily's Tiger. And when he left, I was like, I got to be
time to leave.
Yeah, right. So I got up and I ran over to that middle section spot, and I just enjoyed it, man. It was more than I could have asked for. Like I said on Twitter, I never thought that I would actually hear it live. I feel like they've been kind of taboo about that song in particular for the past couple of years. And it was really like an unexplainable, it's hard to put it in words, like how I felt. That video that's floating around of me dancing is a pretty good indication of how I enjoyed it, but yeah, super high vibes, super great energy. And after that, I got some pretty odd news at the beginning of the set. So I was kind of feeling weird, but after that, it was high. All for the rest of the night, I was flying high,
But love to hear it. And for those of you stats people who may not have seen, that is the 233 show bust out of Lily's Tiger, last played at Fred Fest on August 22nd, 2021. So this was only the third time that Goose has ever played it.
Wow.
Crazy. KJ, what about you? What did you think of Lily's Tiger?
Yeah, I loved it. I'd been hearing about people chasing it forever. It wasn't kind of on. I knew I hadn't seen it, but it wasn't on my radar. But seeing this guy, I mean, there was really a couple of musical highlights I'll share later with you. But the highlight of the night for me was watching John Murphy just ecstatic, when overwhelmed with emotion, jumping up and down. He got reposted multiple times on Twitter, people saying this is what it's all about. This is how people should dance. And I think it freaked out some of the people around us a little bit, but he was having a good time. And I remember my buddy Ben, who we flew in with, that's part owner. He basically just kept talking about John and how, I guess there's, he built the venue. So seeing John so happy, I think was his moment of the night as well. And it was beautiful. I loved it. And I was just thrilled for him and everybody else that was chasing it.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, I still can't believe they did it. You get a really cool, nice little, someone called it a jamlet in the chat. John Shuley, thank you for that. Lily's Tiger with a jamlet literally gave me goosebumps. It was so beautiful. Yeah, there was a couple minutes in there getting into some really nice ambient territory. Obviously, nothing crazy, 7 or 8 minutes total. But really, really enjoyed this and really happy that they played it again. Hopefully it's not another 3 years before they play this, especially because this is one of the only Goose originals at this point that I haven't seen. So I'm very jealous of everybody who was in Iowa last night, who got to cross that off their stats. Question from the chat: was there a crowd reaction? Did people know what was going on?
Yeah, there was a pretty big crowd reaction. It wasn't as prolific as, you know, a more popular song. I think there were a lot of first timers in the crowd last night.
A lot of first timers.
But the guys, you know, like KJ said, a ton of people have been chasing this song for years. Like everybody wants this song. So those of us who like knew what was happening, we were all just kind of like, yes, like screaming, just going crazy. And then the jamlet section, man, like ambient and lush are the perfect ways to describe that. Like it was literally just, we floated for a night before they went back to the final riff, and it was just so sublime. I loved it so much.
So shout out to the kid that we met in the hotel this morning, that his dad was so proud that he said it was because of his son that they played Lily's Tiger, because he had the sign up at Minneapolis. And he said after the show that Peter pointed at the kid and said, "This is because of you." He told the kid that he relearned, this is quote unquote from the father, that they relearned the song that day to play it for him the next night. So that's
amazing.
What we yeah.
I love to hear that. And this is another example of, if you bring a sign to a Goose show, they're going to play it, you know, like Escape. That's been done a couple of times. So like, you know, should I start bringing a sign to shows that say like, bring back the old arrangement of Drive?
Honeybee. Honeybee.
Bring back the woes. Anyway, we got our first big jam of the night here in All I Need. KJ,
yeah,
talk to us about that.
So I'll take an All I Need every single show. I mean, the first, you know, it's one of those first songs that I got into, and I've got my dog here that's going blind that wants to say hello. So my little Yorkie buddy. So it's, you know, it's one of those with Arcadia and So Ready that got me into Goose right off the bat, you know, kind of their staples. And for me, it was a very solid All I Need. The jam was great. I turned over to the owner guy and said, "Hey, this is one of the more popular songs." And I think that's when, for me, it was almost when the crowd really finally got into it there.
Right.
You know, because the beginning was more for true fans, and there were a lot, especially in the balcony, were a ton of people sitting down, which is absurd to me. And I think that's why people were frustrated with us. But it was, you know, it's really when the crowd got into it. And, you know, I'm having a hard time remembering anything right now, but it was a sick jam, and I was dancing my ass off. So it was a good time.
Love that. Murph, you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing. I agree with the statement that, you know, that's when I think the entirety of the crowd was like, okay, this is something that I've heard before. Let's get down now. So everybody kind of got on their feet after that point, and it was riding for the rest of the night. As far as the jam goes, I could be mistaken, but I want to say that it was the All I Need jam where there towards the end, it seemed like Rick got a little bit faster and everybody kind of picked up with it, and it was a little higher tempo than they normally take it, which I thought was really cool. I love it when they take, you know, a song that I've heard several times and do something new with it. So it was a treat.
I love it. Yeah, this jam was really cool because I felt there was a ton of intention behind it. Like right from the first minute, they get into this like really heavy driving, you know, churning space, more darkness. And, you know, in a tour where we've been seeing a lot of major key Bliss jams, this was a real treat to get Rick just absolutely crushing it. This was also after the Lily's Tiger, you know, we were like, is this going to be the time where they do the second jam? Like, is it going to happen? And it didn't. So maybe we should bring a sign about that. Someone else
felt
also
like
said
it.
we'll have a thunder sign at the anthem. That's also a great plan. Yeah, this All I Need was great. Great little blissy turn. I think this is my favorite jam of the set here. You know, between this and the Earthling. But it's really that first half of the jam that really does it for me. Like I love when Goose gets into that kind of space. But the other huge jam, the longer one, comes next here in this amazing Earthling or Alien, you know, first big one in quite a while, I think. But they come out here and Peter immediately just getting into that like reverby and envelope filter clav space that he's been loving so much lately. and then they just pour on the gas. You know, I feel like this isn't the deepest of jams, but it's a really enjoyable listen. You know, kind of has two distinct sections for me. But I liked it a lot. You know, this will probably end up on the lower half of my playlist. But I think it's a very good jam. Murph, what did you think of this?
I thought it was also a really good jam. And this is kind of when I had this moment last night where I was like, I feel like, you know, like here recently at least, I've been noticing a lot from Cotter, and I mean Rick's always for the most part going bananas, but last night I feel like there were certain points where Rick kind of like let off a little bit and gave Peter some space to like experiment and have some fun, and I really think that it started to bloom in the Earthling or Alien. He got into this like really like outer spacey type vibe for a second, and it was really good. Like it's like you said, I don't think they went to like any depths that haven't been, you know, traveled to yet, but it was still a very fun listen and a banger.
KJ?
Yeah, not a lot to add. I mean, it was, you know, it's one of those songs that I don't listen to outside of a concert very often. It comes on a shuffle or something. I know I don't turn it away, but in a concert, it's ranked much higher in a concert than it is for a playlist for me. And anytime I hear those first notes, it's just, you know the crowd's about to go crazy. There's more dancing, and I'm a vibe guy. It's a vibe. I mean, it's a special, unique. It's a weird song. I had the guy beside me. You know, he was kind of talking. I finally left and went down there with Murph. But he was, do you like Earthling Alien? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. And I'm like, oh, God, shut up, you know.
Was Jive Goose in Iowa? I didn't realize he was there.
Hey, he's kind of similar. The guy was kind of similar. This guy was like, imagine Jive Goose as a narcissist, and that's who this guy was. But yeah,
Don't have to imagine that hard.
Yeah.
Anyway, second half, end of the set here. We get Lead Up into White Lights. KJ, what did you think of these last two tunes?
Well, Lead Up, I really believe, and I think a lot of people do, is a, you know, it's a radio worthy song. Maybe it comes out on the next album, maybe it gets released. And that's what I was sharing with my friend Ben. I kind of gave him a little color commentating at the beginning of each song so you know what's happening. And I love Lead Up. I mean, I think about Mad's video every time I hear it. You know, that 90s retro video that he released. And, you know, I think it was a pretty standard Lead Up. Yeah, in general. The White Lights was interesting, though. We had a lot of comments where people aren't, you know, it was a kind of an interesting end of set song to have there, or at least for me it was. And a lot of people that don't necessarily like White Lights thought it was a better rendition of White Lights than normal. And it was, you know, maybe played a little looser than normal. So enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was pretty succinct for me. You know, Lead Up always crushes. But yeah, White Lights was like, you know, we're going to do one more before set break. It'll be quick. It'll be fun. You can keep dancing, you know. Murph, anything to add on these last two?
I mean, not really with Lead Up. Lead Up, like, it's pretty straightforward. But the White Lights, I did think that this version of White Lights is better than several other versions. And I don't know if it was just because I was there and I was, you know, such high energy by this point in the show, but like, just I feel like Rick took it to a place where it was just like he was going hard, and he was having a lot of fun with it, and it was just your straight like you're ripping, like he was just soloing and hitting it hard, and I really enjoyed it. Like I texted a few of my friends in a group chat. One of my friends, James, he's not a fan of White Lights. And I was like, you can't deny that one was good. Like, you can't sit here and tell me that was not good.
Love it. Yeah, and I think another comment in the chat here, the auto-tune has been turned down, more subtle. I think it's just working again, which is great. I think this tour especially, it's been sounding good consistently. You know, all the vocal effects, you know, we talked about in June how the new harmonizer thing he was using on Dripfield didn't really sound like it was perfectly in tune. And I felt the last couple of versions of it has. So, yay, Rick, and yay to whichever techs have also been working on the vocal effects unit because it's been sounding great. All right, let's go into set break here. You know, how were you guys feeling? What were you feeling for the second set?
Set break was chill. I mean, I felt like, and I don't know. I think I always think this at a Goose show, but like set break starts, and then the next thing I know, I turn around and they're walking back on stage. So it was just. You know,
It was shorter.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I had a good set break, I guess. You know, I went to the bathroom and then came back, and I was good. You know, there weren't any lines, like we said earlier about the venue. No lines for the bathroom. So I kind of had like a little bit of extra time, but I just used it to rest. I sat there in the seat and just chilled.
Love it. Anything to add, KJ?
Yeah, I mean, I'm realizing the day after, I always have the highest case of attendance bias on first sets. I literally think that every first set I've seen with a Goose show is the best. I think Lily's Tiger gave a little bit of more evidence to that than normal, but now I'm kind of back in normal life. It probably wasn't the best first set of the tour, but at the time I felt that way because it was just high energy. I haven't seen Goose in a while. It's kind of a special event with being here with these guys. Was very excited, and I've spent some time talking to a couple people, a couple first timers, and getting their impression. And people were pretty impressed. And one of the guys with us went and bought a poster, which was kind of cool. And again, the venue, can't say enough. It is supposedly they want me to go back out there in a month and see some of the improvements we recommended. They talked to us about today, but it is a impeccable venue. And
would you say that it's vibrant?
It's very vibrant. Yeah, I would say it was so vibrant that it's redundant in a lot of ways. Yeah.
I love it. Love to hear it. Well, let's dive into set 2 here because this is a really interesting set, especially the first 40 minutes or so. This Empress Green River Empress sandwich. They started Empress, and I immediately was like, okay, like, this is going to be big. Like, Empress set 2 opener is like a great slot for this song because of the way they've been jamming it recently. Thinking of Eugene 2023, it opened the second set. And then they just jam on the intro for like 5 minutes. Like, they just kept going and going and going, which I thought was great. I think maybe 3 minutes or so is the sweet spot for that. I felt that, it was getting a little noodly. There was some chatter about whether this Empress was quote unquote inverted. It was just a long intro.
It was just an extended intro.
But yeah, what did you guys think of this placement here?
I liked the placement of it. I like you said, when you open set 2 with Empress, it's going to be pretty good. And with the way that they were soloing in the beginning or extending the intro, I'm not going to call it a solo because it's not like inverted, like we just said. But Rick was doing a lot of that like choppy, rhythmic soloing type stuff that like I've been seeing a lot of it from him this tour, but I feel like this week or like this past week in particular, he really picked up on that, and that's something that I'm really liking from him. I'm never gonna turn away a Rick Shred moment. I love seeing Rick Shred, but like seeing him do stuff like that is always a treat, and I'm glad that he's like kind of diversifying in that way. I feel like it can kind of combat these people that are a bit jaded and they're like, oh, it's always the same and stuff like that.
For sure. Kevin?
Yeah, for me, this is probably one of my top 2 Empresses. A SPAC last year, which I thought was a very underrated Empress, especially the light show. I remember just being blown away. It had a lot of dark in it. And this one, for me, I'm still grooving from last night, and it's to Green River. That's really one of the highlights of the show for me. It was so stanky, it was Rick's vocals, and it's just such a good fit. All the band songs are such a good fit, and this one as well. It's just, I mean, just, I can hear it in my head. I can feel it. And I really enjoyed the Green River. That was probably a highlight for me.
Yeah, I felt, honestly, I like how Green River was placed here. The Empress sandwich is cool, but I think that it kind of came at a time when the Empress Jam was finally starting to kind of depart Empress. I felt that the first 21-minute chunk or so was pretty contained within the song. Like lots of great energy. Like, it looked amazing, on the stream. Like the crowd just looked like everybody was just jumping up and down and loving it on the floor. So that was awesome to see. But I felt that the second part of Empress was really cool. Nice little digital sauce jam in there. Some cool stuff happening. But yeah, I like the concept of this Green River sandwich. But I think in execution, maybe if they had done it a little earlier in the Empress Jam and then saved the meat of the improv for after, but it felt that they kind of, segued at a time that the band was finally starting to depart and go into some cool stuff. And before I pass it off to you, John, really quick, another thing that was funny on the stream, I don't know if you guys could see this, but during Peter's solo at the beginning of the Empress Jam, Cotter was kind of giving him he was just like so zeroed in on what Peter was doing. I was kind of giving him like this like mean mugging look, which I thought was really funny. Like Coach, got a really good angle on him during that part. But yeah, John, what did you think of this?
Well, it sounds like Ryan's not sold on the Green River sandwich, 100% sold. So
I mean, I kind of agree with the placement issue because I do think that it would have been better.
Get out of his house.
To explore that space a little bit and then go into it. But I do like how when they went back into Empress, they didn't really waste any time getting down to it. Rick, they did the whole quiet, dark thing, and I really enjoy that. That's something I always love to see. And then just talking about Green River is a great cover that they do. I think he really does it. Like his vocals really do it justice.
Agreed.
And it was the first time that I got it live, so I was really thrilled about that.
I thought it was great for the crowd. I thought that the set list last night was perfect for that Iowa show, in my opinion.
Everybody loves a Chugel.
100%.
Chugel just fits. All right, and then the second half of the second set here, Bob Don, Arrow, Don't Do It. What do you guys think of this?
Bob Don's always great. I'll never complain about a Bob Don. I love Bob Don. I feel like it keeps the energy going in a moment where you may have like a lull or a moment to like kind of chill or come down from it. I think it kind of sends people back up. I really liked the Arrow. I don't think that it was like insane or anything. Like in my opinion, I prefer the Atlanta Arrow just between the two, but
Agreed.
like it was still good.
Hard to match up to that one.
Yeah, and did we talk about Love Light or is that next?
Next, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get to the encore.
Yeah,
but
we'll get to that.
Kevin, what did you think of the last part of the second set?
Yeah, no, it just kept the momentum kept going for me. I'm a sucker for these shows, so I probably don't have a lot of negative, but Bob Don, Robert Donald, any day of the week, the passion behind it, just really, it's sick. And then, Don't Do It for me is probably my top cover for Goose, in my opinion. And I was with Dylan last night and her husband, Will. And that's one of our favorites first concert we went together last year or 2 years ago, the Ryman, when they played Don't Do It. And that's kind of a special song for us. So it was a moment.
Nice. Yeah, I just, a little dismayed at the lack of width. Been a couple versions now since we got a proper one. Our last width was in Omaha. So like, come on, guys, what are we doing here? Need some more widths. This is also a very, very slowed down Bob Don. They really sinking into the song, which is cool. When you contrast it with the SPAC version, from just over a week ago that was played at a faster tempo than normal. Curious that they're trying things out. Felt like Cotter had a different beat going as well. Kind of a more of a reggae flow to it, I want to say. But yeah, this is great. And then Arrow, pretty standard, 19 minutes or so. About what I expected from an Arrow here. Kind of looking at the clock and being like, oh, I bet you curfew is probably at 11. Like, we'll see what happens. And then Don't Do It. Always a pleasure. Very excited about that. And then what do you guys think of this Love Light encore?
That's one of my favorite Dead covers that they do. I think it's back to just Rick's vocals. He just kills it. My first time getting it, so I was absolutely ecstatic about that. I really loved it. I think they're getting to a point with that cover though that it's like they're using it as like, oh, we have just a short amount of time for an encore, so let's throw Love Light in there. Where a couple of years ago, I feel like the Love Lights were a bit longer. There's one in particular that I'm thinking about that was like 14 or 15 minutes long. But yeah, I'm not going to complain about a Love Light. Always like it.
Yeah, it's one of the first songs when I got into the Dead in the early 90s that really, I think the Greatest Hits album was the first Dead album I listened to, and it was a staple. So it's again, I've never seen it, never seen Goose play it, and it was a special moment. I saw that they cut out Dark Horse, which was disappointing for me. That was one of my calls last night, and Doobie Song, but the Love Light I thought was it was fitting for the moment. I felt so.
Yeah, it was interesting to see Love Light pop up again so soon. You know, I think it was they looked at the clock. They were like, we only have a few minutes, and that's like a reliable. You know, it's fun. People love it, and it'll close out the show. And just got some news. The band just posted that tomorrow's show here in Utah has been moved due to dangerously high winds. Instead of being in the parking lot outside a football stadium where they can't safely build the stage due to high winds, we will be seeing Goose at the Great Salt Air, or the Great Salt Air Indoor tomorrow night. So that'll be fun. Also, there was risk of some rain in the forecast. So very excited about this, actually. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow in Utah. But interesting venue change. Curious to see what this venue's like now. But anything to add on last night's show in Iowa, guys, before we wrap up?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. It was I mean, like I said, the high points were obviously Lily's Tiger and the Empress Jam I really liked. The Earthlinger Alien Jam I really liked. But it was a pretty standard, like, I feel like off night, fifth show of the week show, you know.
Yeah, the show was, for me, again, my personal experience is always different than these analyses. And for me, it was I haven't seen Goose in a couple months. I've been all stressed out in work, dealing with all life shit. And it's just the reason we go. And I feel lighter today. I feel happier. Things are in perspective. And I'm thankful that we are here during this time. And before we leave, we have to talk about, since I'm on here and you're on here.
Oh, I know.
You know. So night 0, Goosemas. We're already selling a lot of tickets in advance, which I'm very excited about. And I believe we're going to sell the sucker out. So if you're going to Goosemas, you have to come to night 0. Ryan Storm and the night 0 band have been working on the set list, have been practicing this year. So what are we talking about? Practice. These guys have been practicing this year. So they're going to
definitely been practicing.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's going to be quite. I mean, it was great last year. I mean, that more we still talk about it. The encore last year was just sick, and the Moby, and I mean, you guys killed it. And so Cam Hurt's going to do a part this year, and I already know he's been working on it. You guys are playing, and then my second, third favorite band, depending on what day of the week it is, Disco. Been practicing. These guys are full-time musicians now for the first time ever, and they've got a bunch of new music. They got a new style. I mean, they're going to be tight. And if you ever want to go to a dance party, Disco is the dance party. It's a little bit of futuristic funk, some retro fishy work, and just a diverse band that I really hope everybody comes out. But most importantly, to help the kids. This is for Conscious Alliance. Yes. All ticket proceeds. We have sponsors. There's a handful of people that are going to be sponsoring. We'll be announcing soon, and they're paying all our expenses for the band, for supplies, for marketing, for everything. And so every ticket sale will go straight to Conscious Alliance. Plus, we're going to raise money, and we've got a really lofty goal, which is going to be almost damn near impossible to hit, but we're going to go for it. 72,600. Last year was 7,260, and we hit 10,000. So, that's like 140,000 meals for kids, and that's a big deal. So even if you can't come, contribute. If you can, come a night early and, make it a 3-night run instead of a 2-night run. And I promise you it'll be worth it. It's at the Charleston Poorhouse. Get your tickets online, and we'll see you there.
You want to be there. Murph's playing guitar also.
Murph's playing guitar.
It's gonna be a blast. We've got some unique song choices in store. I will be playing a real organ. Thank you to Disco. So if you ever want to see
1942 Leslie,
as happy as I've ever been in my entire life for around 75 minutes, you should come watch me play at this show. Anyway, it's going to be a blast. Thank you both so much for being on today. Glad you had such a good time in Iowa last night. We are moving on to Utah. They're coming out here tomorrow. It's going to be fun. We are inside now as the West Coast tour continues. We are officially in mountain time as well for tomorrow. So let's get excited. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. We will see you on Wednesday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time to recap tomorrow night's show in Utah. Without further ado, enjoy the rest of your day. Kevin.